in a small world. Small, small world.
In the confines of Lake Tanganyika, every species of cichlid carves out its own unique niche for survival. The sandy bottom of the lake is littered with a multitude of empty snail shells, and this accumulation of discarded shells is utilized by a group of small cichlids affectionately known as shellies. These shellies make the empty shells their home. The shells provide a safe haven to retreat when poachers come along, and a near impervious refuge to lay their eggs and raise their young. One of the cichlids, Neolamprologus multifasciatus, has the distinction of being considered the smallest cichlid in the world, measuring in at an average of 1 inch long. They are somewhat unique in that they are colonial, meaning multiple groups and generations will live together, raising and protecting the colony, each other, and their offspring. Occasionally, one member may be banished for bad behavior and exiled from the group, but all in all, they live as a tight-knit unit. Oh, don't be fooled. This tiny fish is all cichlid and will defend their turf and shells with all the vigor of a fish 10 times their size. This video is about a colony of Neolamprologus similis, a close relative of the multis, only with a bit more attitude. Chances are you've never seen these fish in your local pet shop. They are more rare than their cousin the multis, and usually demand a slightly higher price, but the cost-to-value ratio of the similis, and shellies in general, make them a fantastic cichlid to keep. Shellies are without a doubt Lake Tanganyika's most skilled engineers. Watching them moving sand and arranging their habitat is never dull. They can be kept in a 10-gallon aquarium, but a 20-gallon is better suited for them as they breed often and the colony expands quickly. How do you set up a shelly aquarium? Easy. Create a substrate of sand 2 inches deep. Drop in a dozen empty shells, fill with water, and add the shellies. Don't bother leveling the sand, and don't fret about placing the shells just right. They will move things around to their liking. In fact, it's not unusual to wake up one morning and find they have moved most of the sand to one side of the aquarium, and then 2 days later moved it to the other side. They are amazing creatures, kind of like having an underwater ant farm, always evolving and always full of action. This colony was formed in 2008 with 4 fish, 1 male and 3 females, in a 33-gallon long setup. Sexing them is easy. Females are smaller and usually stay close to their shell of choice. They have a delicate beauty, a blue-tinted eye, yellow highlighted fins, and a dark beige body painted with dapper cream-colored stripes, including one on their forehead, which distinguishes them from their cousins the multis. If you're looking for a small aquarium for your kids' room to introduce them to the hobby of fish keeping, a shelly setup may be just the ticket. It's easy to maintain, wildly entertaining, and educational in the remarkable miracle of reproduction of life. Watching them breed and raise their young is a lesson well learned, and just the hook to get kids interested in fish and pets in general. I've kept fish for longer than I care to admit, and still maintain multiple aquariums of various species, but rarely do I ever walk past my shelly tank without pausing to see what they're up to. Just as the shellies have carved out a unique piece of real estate in Lake Tanganyika, so too have a group of cichlids called Julidochromis. Of the 8 or so known types of julies in the lake, 4 of them are dwarf species, reaching an average length of about 3 inches. Julies live within the caves, cracks, and crevices of the numerous rock piles within the lake. Their slender, torpedo-shaped bodies are perfectly suited to fit through the slightest openings, permitting them access to the recesses deep within the stacked boulders. It is within these caves where the Julies mate, guard their eggs, and raise their young, hidden from view and safe from bulkier fish, unable to penetrate the small openings. This group of Julidochromis ornatus, Congo yellow, was formed in the same aquarium as the Shelleys back in 2008. They too began as a group of 4 juvenile fish, with the hope that a pair would form. The bond between a pair of Julies is very strong, and if not interrupted, may last a lifetime. Unlike the true colonial similis, after a pair of Julies bond, the unpaired fish need to be removed. Julies are intolerant of other non-related members of their own kind. In a large enough aquarium, however, multi-generations of related Julies can live together with little discord. Provide them with ample rockwork to hide in, and these interesting, undemanding little fish will provide hours of entertainment. Adult Julies are daunting parents, taking turns watching the eggs and guarding their fry as they begin wandering around the rocks, picking at the surface shortly after hatching. Considering the lifestyle of seclusion dwarf Julies adhere to, the exposure of recently hatched fry is a treat. First you see one, followed shortly by another, and then, as they grow and gain confidence, the rock pile becomes dotted with youngsters as mom and pop drift around, keeping a keen eye out for trouble. Just as with the similis colony, this group of ornatus are descendants from the original pair, which by the way are still part of the current group. Some of the offspring have suffered the curse of constant inbreeding from imperfect striping or slight color deficiency. When purchasing Julies, signs of quality fish are evident in both color and markings, but especially in the consistency of their patterns. Stripes should be bold and complete, checkerboard patterns should be consistent along the length of the body, and color should be uniform. It may require a bit of research on the particular species you wish to keep, as each species has its own little nuances. For example, true Julidochromis ornatus will have a black spot on the caudal peduncle. That's the area at the base of the tail. If a fish offered as a Julidochromis ornatus lacks this marking, it is most certainly a hybrid.